For those of you who are new to us, I'm Roseanne Corcoran, Daughterhood the podcast host, circle leader, and primary caregiver. Daughterhood is a safe haven for caregivers like you to connect, gain knowledge, share your experiences, and most importantly, realize that your feelings are not just normal, but also valid. We understand that the system is not set up for you, and that's why we're here, ready to support you every step of the way. This is our self-love topic circle, and I'm so thrilled to have our friend and one of my favorite podcast guests, Loren Gelberg-Goff, here with us. Loren is a psychotherapist, author, and speaker, and has become best known for creating the powerful, life-changing program for caregivers, Take Back Your Life. In her Take Back Your Life Facebook group, individuals learn new life skills so that they are able to live free of chronic daily anxiety and overwhelm and let go of constantly feeling guilty, angry, and or resentful. Her latest book, written especially for caregivers, Take Back Your Life, The Caregiver's Guide to Finding Freedom in the Midst of Overwhelm, helps readers learn ways to take as good care of themselves as they do of those they love. Welcome back, Loren Gelberg-Goff.
I'm so glad to be here. And this is probably one of my, I do have a lot of favorite topics, but this is probably one of my favorite because it's life-giving. And we're giving life and love to everybody else. And this is about how we give life and love to ourselves. And this, when you and I spoke, this was like the perfect day to do it because everybody's sharing hearts and love and flowers. And we need to say, and now it's my turn. And so I'm really glad that we're here to talk about it and to be able to implement some really good, loving things that's beyond, a bubble bath or beyond a trip to Tahiti. It's like there are things we can do every day that acknowledge our worthiness to be loved. And there was a saying, and I don't remember who said it, but the best gift you can give to those you love is loving yourself. Because when we're loving ourselves, we're going to be able to give more love to the people we care about. So that there were a lot of questions that have come up over the months, over the years. Like how does a caregiver spend time, make time to love themselves? And you think about like the number one thing, how many appointments do you make for the people you love and care for? You write them down in a calendar, on a date book, you confirm it maybe on your phone. You do so much to make sure your loved one gets to a doctor, gets to whatever specialist they may need, PT, OT. Well, what if you made your attention to yourself a priority and put an appointment in your book? I share with people all the time the 2-minute meditation that I created, 2 minutes. And I've had people say, oh my God, yes, you sent it to me. I haven't listened yet. I haven't had time to listen yet. Well, I assure you, I promise we have 2 minutes. You go to the bathroom, I am sure, during the day. You wash your hands during the day. You do small little things. You do the dishes, you fold laundry, all those things you are doing. You could listen for 2 minutes to a meditation, not because it changes your life, but because it changes your moment. In that moment that you are listening to, taking a breath, slowing down, just shifting that internal energy, you feel different. It just stops for a moment. And our lives are made up of moments. What was the song from the play Rent? 525,600 minutes. minutes. But we look at the whole day. Oh my God, what do I have to do today? There's so much. Our lists are never ending. 525,600 minutes. How do you want to spend those minutes for yourself? We already know you know how to spend it for others. And how many of us were taught overtly or covertly in life that everybody else matters? Not because you were told you didn't, although some people were, but you were told other people mattered. I remember a story I heard as a kid when a girl came to school and got all excited that her family was going to Disney over Christmas break or something. She was so excited, and she came in the next day very crestfallen and sad because her mom told her she shouldn't have told anybody because other people would feel sad that she was going and they weren't. And that was just, I think I was in second grade. And that was just such a powerful moment of, like, it never occurred to me that I would be sad that I wasn't going and she was. But that was the message she got. So I want you to consider what messages you may have gotten that undermined you feeling good and excited because somebody else might feel bad. And we can shift that because it's not our feelings that get us into trouble. It's our actions. So somebody might feel sad, envious, upset. They are not your responsibility. And it was Marianne Williams who wrote in her book, A Course of Miracles, that we are the light, and our sharing our light, our love, our joy gives other people to share and embrace their light, their love, their joy. But we're so used to being stuck, robotic, mechanized, one foot in front of the other. And today is about stopping and saying, okay, what would feel good for you today? What might feel good? Putting on a CD, a DVD, whatever, with your favorite singing group. I mean, I know it takes me way back, but one of the groups I love listening to are Peter, Paul, and Mary. I could listen to them all the time. And I was home alone the other night, and it was like I put it on really loud and danced around the apartment and just had a really good time for 20 minutes that I listened. Could you do that? Even if the music is just in the background, even if you're sitting and singing to your favorite songs with your loved one, how would that feel? Would that be a loving thing? There was a great quote that I saw this morning, as a matter of fact. Deliberately guiding your thoughts is the key to a joyful life, but a desire to feel joy is the best plan of all, because in reaching for joy, you find the thoughts that attract the wonderful life you desire. Whatever we put our attention to gets bigger. So how many of you, because I know I've heard this countless times, I've been a caregiver for, it feels like forever. I forgot what joy is. I forgot what it feels like to be happy, to feel free. And people who are no longer caregiving tell me they don't even know what to do with themselves. They miss what am I doing today? Oh, I don't have to go visit my parent or my loved one in the nursing home or run upstairs to check on them. What does that feel like? So when we stop and ask ourselves, what is my desired outcome? And people who know me know that's my favorite question, and one that has to be answered in any situation. And there are two requirements. A desired outcome has to be what you want, not what you don't want. And it has to be something over which you have control. So that goes to boundaries. I don't want my mother to call me 20 times a day. Well, we may not be able to stop that from happening, but we can choose when we answer the phone. That we have control over. We can choose to delay answering the phone. And maybe prior to returning a call, we're going to stop and do a 2-minute meditation. We're going to stop and listen to our favorite song. What can you do in this moment that brings you joy, brings you a sense of doing this for me, a guilty pleasure? We all, I'm sure, have some guilty pleasure. Maybe you haven't done it for decades, but what is it? Now, with the advent of the internet and everything we can access on the internet, people will zone out playing an internet game, Candy Crush or something like that. Are you getting joy from it, or are you numbing out from it? Does it bring you joy? Does it bring you a sense of, because if it's not bringing you that, ask yourself what else you might be able to bring into your space. People tell me, this was one of the other questions that came up, I have absolutely no help. I'm alone. How am I supposed to care and love for myself when it's all on me? Well, as Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. There are always helpers. And do you feel resistance? Do you say, yeah, but what's your desired outcome? And on a scale of 0 to 10, how important is it for you to take care of yourself? If you're down at a 5 or a 6, maybe it's really bad and you haven't thought about how you want to take care of yourself, so it's down to a 1 or 2. As long as it's not a 9 or a 10, I assure you there will be an excuse, a rationalization, a justification that will overshadow whatever it is you say you want. And we either allow that joyful energy to come in, or we resist. And you will feel the resistance. Maybe you feel like your brain seizes up and nope, there's just that immediate, nope, I can't do it. So we have the 5-second rule. You get an urge, a desire, take a walk outside, sing a song, take a bubble bath, linger over a cup of tea or coffee in the morning. You have 5 seconds before the resistance in your brain kicks in and stops you. So you have, and my husband was always a shopper and a buyer. He loved shopping. He loved buying. I like looking. I was never a buyer. So when we'd go through a mall or something, he would look at something and go, oh, I think you have to have that. I could care less. It wasn't anything I never had that intense urge. But I learned since he passed, I had to pay attention, because if he was always getting something for me or for the house or whatever it was, I had to learn to say, is that something I would really love? On a scale of 0 to 10, how important is that? 5 seconds, because it would be really easy for me to just walk by, let it go. One more thing, I just let go and might think about later, that might have been nice. 5 seconds before your resistant, habitual brain kicks in and stops you from accessing something you love. So if you have an urge to take a walk outside on a beautiful, not too freezing cold winter day, or not too steamy hot a day in the middle of summer, do it anyway. Take that walk, even if it's for 5 minutes. Because what you're doing is starting to shift that resistant path in your brain that says, no, I can't. We always have excuses. But in life, we either have results or excuses. What's your desired outcome? And today is about how we show love and care to have a really good relationship with ourselves. And if we're not having a loving relationship with ourselves, that's where resentment builds up. Resentment and anger are not the same thing. If you look at somebody, people tell me, my siblings don't pay attention to anything that I'm doing. They don't care, but they're always giving orders. And so we resent them because they're living their lives and I'm not. They're doing something I want to do. That's resentment. People who have said to me, yeah, I come in and my husband's sitting on the couch reading the paper, reading a book. I don't get to sit down on the couch and read a book. Why not? That's your choice. What if you chose initially to sit for even 5 minutes? You're shifting a belief. Everybody else can do this. I can't. And anger is that, what are we angry about? Who are we really angry with? We think we're angry at someone else, but in truth, we're angry with ourselves for maybe not speaking up, not knowing where we could turn to for support, for help, for guidance. The anger is our friend, as Julia Cameron said. Anger is our friend. It lets us know when a boundary's been violated. It lets us know when we're not taking care of ourselves. It lets us know when something is wrong. And very often, anger is what gives us a backbone. And as they say, if we speak out in anger, we'll make the best speech we will ever regret. So we don't want to speak out in anger, but we want to acknowledge, oh, there's something wrong I need to address. And then we go to the question, and what's my desired outcome? Oh, I want to sit on the couch and read a book. Okay. What would I need to do in order to be able to sit on the couch and read a book? And if I'm willing to start with 5 minutes, maybe I'll read a chapter. Maybe I'll read 3 pages. We have to be willing to start somewhere. You know, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You can say, I want to go to a movie. Okay. If getting to a movie theater feels overwhelming and daunting, what's an app or a DVD you have that you could watch at home to start? Give yourself permission to take a step that would feel good. What are you pursuing? As I said, whatever we put our attention to gets bigger. So when I say a desired outcome has to be what you want, not what you don't want. When you hear yourself say, yeah, I want to watch a movie, but I can't. I have to do the laundry. I have to do the dishes. Who's coming to inspect? Who's coming with their white gloves, coming to do a home inspection? I used to say to people, if you want to come see me, come anytime. If you're coming to look at my house, give me 2 weeks notice. People will apologize to me if I walk into their home and everything is in disarray. I say, it's not my mess. It's okay. I'm not here to judge. It's not, but we may be really good with not judging our friends, but what are we doing to ourselves? And we would never talk to our friends the way we talk to ourselves. Never. We would never want our friends to talk to us the way we talk to ourselves. And so then people say, well, okay, so I'm going to go out to dinner, or I'm going to go take a walk with a friend in the park for 20 minutes or an hour. But I feel so guilty. And I can't, I check my phone all the time and I'm not sure. Take a breath. My favorite phrase is, and we breathe. You have a choice. You're either going to give yourself permission to do something. However many of you have had children, raised children, had date nights with your partners. Did you have a rule that we're going to go out to dinner and we're not going to talk about the children? Can you meet with a friend and not talk about the stress and tension you're living with? Doesn't mean you don't have an opportunity to vent or let go of stress you're holding on to. But do you want to talk about something other than your caregiving responsibilities, other than health and wellness and illness and politics? What else is there in life? So I don't know if it was there before, but during COVID, I discovered on Google conversation starters that gave you little one-liners that had nothing to do with COVID or politics. Silly things. What's your favorite ice cream? There's a game called Would You Rather. It's the silliest game. Would you rather be a bunny or a kangaroo? Whatever. They're silly. But it moves conversations in different directions that are more fun, that are more upbeat, that feel lighter. And one of the things that people like on the positive side, because we could talk about the negative side of what Valentine's Day is, and people don't like that Hallmark holiday and selling chocolate. But on the positive side, it's all about connecting in a way that isn't about obligation, responsibility, burdens. That's life. And I remember learning years ago, and I've used it many times over the last few years, we cannot avoid pain in our lifetime, but we can avoid joy. And you think about it. People show up for a health crisis, for a funeral, but they can put off, I don't need to go to that wedding or that party. Nobody will miss me. It isn't about them. Are you willing to embrace joy? Are you willing to put aside excuses, rationalizations, justifications to have a good time? Even if it's limited. Do you say yes to whatever obligation or responsibility you have because you haven't thought about whether it's a good thing for you to do? And if we don't ask someone for help, guidance, assistance, the answer is always no. Yeah, if you ask somebody to step in and they go, oh, they have every excuse in the world, you're going to feel sad, hurt, disappointed. But at least then you will know and say, well, what can you do? What are you willing to do to step in? And some people have told me, all my siblings will do is send money. Okay. Who are you going to hire to help, whether it's for an hour, whether it's for a weekend, a week? What are you working toward that is loving and respectful and compassionate for you? What, if you're caring for somebody who, and my husband did this early on, he didn't want anybody to take him to appointments or do whatever it was he needed except for me. He was embarrassed that somebody else in the family would have to step in. It didn't work for me to run everywhere. I was managing my practice. We had 2 kids at home. It was like there needed to be options. And so it started with, why don't you ask your friend, whoever, to come and take a ride with you? Make it less of a I need and more of we'll do this and then we can go for lunch. If we're open to options, that we are allowed to feel good, you're going to find them, because whatever you put your attention to gets bigger. So if you say, well, if I do something for myself and I feel guilty, that takes away my joy. Okay, as I said before, it's not our feelings that get us into trouble, it's our actions. So if I think I'm going to feel guilty if I take the evening off, if I take a day off, if I take an hour off, so I don't do it, now I'm sabotaging my joy. So we have to be willing to start somewhere. Learning again. When was the last time you felt really joyful? When was the last time you had a really good time at anything? Can you linger over that morning cup of coffee or tea and really savor it? That can be joyful. Let's start somewhere. And if you want to take a trip and have a vacation, we get to look at what our options are. And I know respite care isn't always available when you want it, but you can plan for it. Somebody had told me years ago her dream was to go to Italy. And she said, oh, but I never had enough money. I said, well, when do you want to go? She said, well, I don't think I can. I said, well, if you don't think you can, like they say, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. On a scale of 0 to 10, how important is that trip? She goes, well, I've wanted to do it for 20 years. Well, what have you done? What step have you taken to get there? Because we are so used to saying no to ourselves that just feels like, yeah, it's a pipe dream. So what I told her to do, I said, put a big manila envelope on your refrigerator. And at the end of every day, put a few dollars in there. Every day, whatever change you may have gotten during the day, drop it in the envelope. Start to see yourself putting money, put on the envelope, my trip to Italy. I want you to see it. I want you to feel the excitement. Start cutting out pictures of what you want to see in Italy. Do something that makes it feel real. You're moving towards something you want. And so for her, that was a big thing. But 2 years later, she went to Italy. She went because she allowed herself to make it real. So maybe all you want is putting on your favorite music and dancing in your living room. Could you do that? Maybe you'll give yourself one song to start. That's okay. We have to start somewhere. And that when we take a step towards something we want that feels good, we start to feel empowered. We feel less stuck. We feel less depressed. We feel less burdened. Because we're doing something every day that puts a smile on your face. Talking to a best friend. Sitting for 5 minutes. And 5 minutes can feel like a long time when we're the ever-ready bunnies running around, going from one thing to another. There's so much to do. 3 words. And so what? We all know the difference between an emergency, something that has to be handled right away, and, oh, that can wait. We may feel guilty that we're putting an obligation off. And so what? What's going to happen if you put that obligation off? What's going to happen? Will the world come to an end? We think it will. I remember one woman said, I have to dust the living room every day before I leave. I have a dog and the hair will get around. And her assignment was one day, walk out the door without dusting the table, the coffee table in the living room. Notice the panic, notice the stress, okay, if you walk out the door and the first day she felt the obligation, she had to turn around and run back in and dust. But an hour later, when she had to run another errand to the grocery store, she walked out with her bottle of Pledge in her hand, but got in the car and she said, and you know what? I came back and the table didn't look terrible. Everybody has something that they say they have to do. Just ask yourself, is what I'm thinking really true? Don't believe everything you think. Question it, challenge it, be skeptical, not judgmental. No judgments or criticisms that, oh my God, no name calling, for sure. When we say things like, oh my God, you're such an idiot. Oh my God, what is wrong with you? That hurts. And that doesn't feel joyful or loving. So we stop, we go, is that thought really necessary right now? Be skeptical. Make a choice. Remember, 5 seconds. You want to walk out the door without dusting a table or making a bed. Take a breath. Oh, how will I feel if I just walk out the door? Is there a certain sense of freedom? Certain sense of I'm getting away with something. Would that make you smile? Yeah, there's going to be the other side that goes, oh my God, you should. Well, we can all say, we have to stop shoulding all over ourselves. The tyranny of the should. We change, if in one thing you can do that can help feel joy and connection is every time you hear yourself say, I should, change it to I could. Should is somebody pointing a finger at you, demanding. Could is, well, you have an option. I realized, when you said you live on a ranch and there are obligations, yeah, but you are choosing. Think about it. You can see your responsibilities as an obligation or as a choice. Whenever we do something out of love and care and compassion, it feels very different than when we're doing it out of obligation and demand. And someone who I know has a really good relationship with her mother, but her mother is now 100 years old and becoming more frail, and there are more demands, and she has help at home. But I can hear in her voice that edge of, oh, she didn't feel well, and we took care of her that night, and next time she doesn't feel well, I'm just taking her to the hospital. And it was like, you may choose to take her to the hospital, but do you hear how you sound? Angry, resentful. Oh, I don't resent my mom. I said, you may not, but your tone certainly does. Do you hear yourself? And she has time she can take. But if she's busy thinking about all her responsibilities and obligations, she's not enjoying her time. And as I said at the beginning, are we pursuing, planning for joy, or are we planning for burden? And today is really about saying, what can I give to myself that would feel good? And it doesn't have to be big. It's a step. It's not about a resolution. Oh my God, I'm going to do that. One step. When they talk about, oh, you need to drink a certain amount of water every day, and you get burdened by how many glasses did I drink? Can you keep a cup of water by your desk, by your bed, and say, I can drink this morning? Start somewhere. Take a step toward loving, caring, not in an obligatory way, but can I breathe? A few minutes. That's where the shift comes in. And I created a step-by-step guide because we need steps. We need to look at what am I resisting? What are my excuses? What gets in the way, and how much power do we give that which gets in the way? Do we shut down right away? Do you fight it? And then we go back to, well, how strong is your desired outcome? Someone was telling me yesterday that he was struggling. He's having his own health issue, and he needs to get a second opinion. But he was told by his doctor the next thing he should do. And he said, it's been 2 months and I really should get a second opinion. Well, what gets in the way? Well, people don't call me back. Well, I don't know who to call for a second opinion. You start to hear all the excuses. Does he want a second opinion? As he said, well, I should get a second opinion. Do you want a second opinion, Or do you want to go with what this doctor has said and go from there? Own what feels good to you. And if if you think, well, that's just taking the easy way out, so what? Does it really matter? Do we have a crystal ball that says this is the best way to do it? No. We have to do what will feel centering. You can breathe. There are so many things that happen in our lives that we have zero control over. What we have control over is how we choose to handle that which is completely out of our control. And so many caregivers live with the illusion that they are in charge of everything. They have to handle, manage, control everything. Do you? I remember saying to my mother years ago, I said how lucky she was that her daughters didn't really rebel enormously like so many children do. And her answer was, that wasn't luck. I raised you that way. And I just sort of laughed. I said, okay, Mom. You think whatever you want. It's okay. But we do think we have more control than we really do, or we think we should have more control than we really do. So we ignore pursuing joyful, loving, self-care moments. People are tired of hearing about self-care. They're just so shut down. They're so, what does it mean? There's too much going on. Yeah, we can get burnt out from the whole idea of self-care, but today can be a start of, it's not just self-care, it's how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel in your life? Burdened, stressed, overwhelmed, that's going to be a given. Where it's there. We get to choose that you can bring joy and love and pleasant thoughts and feelings into your life. And that makes handling the stress and obligation that much easier, because the stress and obligation isn't going to go away, even when we're no longer caregiving, because you know what? Life demands a certain amount of caring and responsibility and obligation. It just does. Years ago, when I was doing a radio program, I had a guest on who had a program called Hope is in the Cards. And so we're going way back before the internet was what it was. And he used to do these pop-ups with a bulletin board with cards on it. And as people would come, and they were just postcards of a positive message that they could mail to a friend. And underneath all the cards when they were gone was just that big word, hope. And that's what he was promoting, to send hopeful, loving messages. He recommended, most of us don't mail checks anymore. We're doing it all online. But he said on the back of every envelope, on every check stub that you write a thank you, you write gratitude, you write some positive message, which makes you feel good sending that check. Grateful that, yes, I can pay my gas and electric bill today. Yes, I can pay my mortgage. Yes, thank you for giving me the service that you gave. Feels good. Mm-hmm. Instead of focusing on, I hate writing these checks. So if you're doing it online and not just having it go out automatically, say that to yourself. Wow, I'm so glad I could pay this today. Good for me. Just because it feels good for you. And when our we're creating a new passageway neurologically. We'll start to see, feel, hear, and experience more loving moments, more joyful times, just because we're thinking about it. And that's what today is really all about, shifting just that little perspective that can make a huge difference. Small things make big changes. Miracles, giant miracles, don't happen overnight. They require steps. You know, we hear about the overnight success. Oh my God, they became an overnight success. You didn't hear about the 10 years they struggled to get to be that overnight success. So loving yourself, doing something loving, joyful, caring for you doesn't have to be fireworks, but it can start with just that smile, just that moment of going, I can do this. This feels good. And it makes a difference. You're building on something that has to start small. Think about what you remembered feeling joyful about. I know for me as a kid, I loved going on a swing. There was nothing better than going as high as you could, hoping that the stanchions of the swing set didn't pop up and sort of make you jump. But it felt really good to be on a swing. So for me, that image makes me smile. What makes you smile? That even if you can't do it today, having that memory brings you joy. It isn't about, yeah, but I can't do that today. So what? Memories are part of what help us feel loving, feel good. Sharing a loving memory with the person you're lovingly taking care of feels very different than just focusing on the day-to-day stuff you have to handle, manage, take care of. Pull out a photo album. Laugh about a birthday party you had when you were a kid. Find those moments that feel loving, feel joyful. And we're starting today. It matters. I don't know if anybody wants to has a question, wants to say anything, because I want to leave some time for that before we wind up.
I've been feverishly making notes. And when you said, allow yourself to make it real, I actually felt an exhale. I don't know if anybody else got that, but to hear you say those words, it was very powerful. So thank you, Loren.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
I just want to say thank you, Loren, because I too was writing all kinds of notes. And I think these are all simple things, but they're not easy. And it's so nice to have it again in a list and to have these things. So I really appreciate it, because it's like, yeah, those are all, it really is simple. And it's just, but it's not easy. And like you said, but again, it's about me making a choice. Do I want to believe it's not easy? Or do I want to keep telling that story? Oh, this is so hard, again. But it's simple, but it's not easy. And I can make a choice to make it easier. So thank you.
Awesome.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah. And I will tell you, it takes practice, patience, and perseverance. Don't give up. Don't give up. It may not work the first time. You may go, oh, wait, I fell into the guilt trap. I fell into the complaining trap. Take a breath. Remember, Staples used to have, do-over. that's easy. They made it that's easy, but
Easy
we
button,
all
yeah.
wanted do-overs in when we were growing up, right? Do-over, no, that one didn't count. Okay, do a do-over. No judgment. It takes practice. And be patient with yourself. And just keep going. One step. No judgments. That's what allows you to say, okay, I didn't get my 5 minutes with coffee. I got 3. Okay. And if anybody wants, you can, I will send you the step-by-step guide. If you want to, you go to my website, / which is lorengelberggoff.com/SBSG-TBYL. And if you want to put it in the chat,
Yep.
That way you can get the step-by-step guide. And if you have questions, send me an email. It's fine. I'll be happy to answer them in whatever way I can.
Loren, is it possible to get the 2-minute meditation?
Absolutely.
I would love to have that.
Absolutely. You send me an email, which is Loren@lorengelberggoff.com, and just put 2-minute meditation, and I will send it to you today or whenever you send the email. So, yep.
Thank you.
You are
Wonderful.
welcome.
Wonderful. I'll put it in the notes as well. Wonderful. We'll include all of that in the description of the video. We're going to put this up on YouTube so people can refer to it. And Loren, honestly, can't thank you enough. Every time we have you, it's just
Thank you.
One more aha moment, one more, oh yeah, that makes sense. One more. So I appreciate you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. I love this because it feels good for me. I'm smiling. I like to do this. So thank you.
Well, you
glad to be part of it.
Yep, you always have a place with us. So I will say thank you, everybody, for coming. Please stay in touch on Facebook and Instagram. Check us out on daughterhood.org, where you'll find our Circles calendar, our founders blog, the podcast resources. You can sign up for our newsletter. Oh, and of course, our YouTube channel. Feel free to share any of this information with anybody that you know who may be looking for support and community. And thank you for spending time with us, building this community. You are the reason we exist here at Daughterhood. My name's Roseanne Corcoran, and I will see you again in Daughterhood.